I'm a 24-year-old man, and my friend Jess is a 22-year-old woman. We've known each other for about 3 years since we met in class. We've always been platonic, and to be completely honest, I'm not the type of guy to go for it. Yesterday, Jess was supposed to move. I would drive my truck over to her place, help her load up her stuff, and get her out of her apartment. Unfortunately, her roommate situation has become highly unstable due to irreconcilable differences, so she was in a rush to leave. The day before yesterday, as a way of thanking me in advance, Jess ordered pizza for the two of us. We were sitting there watching a movie on my couch, being platonic friends as usual, and suddenly she inched closer to me. I figured it was nothing until a minute later, she got a little closer. Then she got a little closer, and all I could do was think about how it was finally happening. She squeezed up close next to me and looked up at my face. I'm not the most confident guy, so all I could say was, "Hi," to which she responded, "Hi." Then she asked if I wanted to do something. I asked what something was, and she said, "Oh, you know, something." Still trying to keep room for plausible deniability, again I laughed and said I didn't know what something was. She kept staring at me and nodding, and I thought I'd take my chances. I asked if I could kiss her. She immediately stood up, walked to the other end of the room, and sat down on the armchair. Then she took out her phone. I immediately apologized to her, and she said that I should forget it. A few minutes of incredibly awkward silence passed, and then she said, "I guess Kim, her best friend, was right." I asked what Kim was right about, and she explained that Kim had repeatedly stated that I was only trying to get into her pants for several years, so Kim put her up to testing me. I felt horrible. Immediately I apologized to Jess again, said that while I found her attractive, I'd do nothing to hurt our friendship, and then apologized yet again. Jess accepted it while crying a bit. Then I told her she had nothing to worry about. After Jess went home, I got to thinking that it was incredibly mean-spirited that she would do that to me. I apologized, but that juvenile high school prank just started to strike me the wrong way. So I talked to my sister, who I can talk to about anything, who reinforced that it was disgusting behavior. Then she asked for Jess's address, which I declined to give her. The following day, instead of meeting up with Jess at the promised time, I just didn't. I had taken the day off work, but I went in anyway because I just wanted to get my mind off of what happened. Jess was blowing up my phone all day, and then I got a couple of texts from a number I didn't recognize, which I imagine was Kim. Finally, Jess called me a flaking creep, and that was the end. I'm really mixed on this. I feel kinda bad, but not so bad. Was I wrong? Not the idiot. This wasn't a prank, it was a test, and it was a horrible thing to do. Doubling down and calling your friend a creep instead of apologizing made it so much worse. I think you handled yourself with a lot of dignity, apologizing for any offense caused and refusing to give her address to your sister. Just hold on to that dignity and don't go to Jess looking for reconciliation. She'll realize before long that she's lost a good friend and either apologize or spend the rest of her life being an idiot. Not the idiot. That's a lousy stunt to pull on anyone, but especially a friend. It's a lose-lose situation for you. She hit on you and you responded positively. She got upset. If she had hit on you and you answered no, she still would have been upset. Apparently, she doesn't value your relationship as much as you do, so you have every right to pull back and reassess your friendship, including wondering if she's just using you for what you do for her and how much money you spend on her, such as helping her move. It seems like there is a lot more to this story, but still, going from only this, everyone's the idiot here. She's an idiot for testing you, and you are a tiny bit of an idiot, not as much as her, of course, for not communicating. You could have told her that the test hurt you and that you didn't feel like coming to help her. I mean, you described why she's moving. You could have at least messaged them that you weren't going to come instead of just not showing up. I think Kim is the biggest idiot of them all, though. Context. My family, mom 52, dad 54, me 30 male, my sister Neza 27, and my twin brothers Mark and Lucas 25, grew up dirt poor. However, my parents always provided us with everything we needed and more. I would say we had a pretty good childhood, filled with love and care. Somehow they managed to put us through college, stopping us from going into debt. Sadly, this means that their already hurt finances suffered even more. Out of the four of us, Nez's tuition was the most expensive since she decided she wanted to go to college out of the state. We all tried to talk her out of this, but she was adamant on, number one, going out of state, and number two, my parents paying for her. In 5 years of college, she never had a job. About a year ago, my parents confided to me that they wanted to start saving up for their retirement, but they were unable to since they were still paying loans they took to pay for college and other expenses. So I decided to tell my siblings and came up with a plan to give our parents an alimony. Don't know if this is the right word, for my parents to be able to save some money while staying on top of the bills. All my siblings agreed to contribute to this alimony, and I have written proof of that. So I made the arrangement, set up the account, and we started paying. Since I was the one that came up with the idea, I am paying 50% of the total amount. The twins pay 15% each, and Neza pays the rest. Neza hasn't been paying what we agreed to almost since the beginning. She always has an excuse not to pay, even though we all know that she has the means to do it. Yesterday I went to collect the payment, and I realized that Neza has not made it again, and there was even money missing from the account. Not going to lie, I was furious, because my siblings and I made an agreement, and she was violating that. I sent her a text message. This is the last time I talk to you about this. You have the moral obligation to contribute to our parents' finances, given that they are mostly ruined because of you. Make the payment or I will take you off the account and tell my parents they raised an ungrateful woman. She later called me screaming and yelling at me that I'm not her father and she can do with her money whatever she wants to. She said that our parents chose to pay for her college and she owes them nothing. I told the twins what happened, and while they agree with me, they also said Neza was right. She does not owe our parents anything, but it would be nice of her to try and repay them. Am I the idiot? Edit. Neza had a massive tantrum and threatened to cut contact with my parents if they did not pay for her college. Everything she has now is because my parents chose to support her when they had no obligation to. You are the idiot. Your parents did make that choice. She doesn't have to pay for their retirement because they paid for college. They should have made her get a job to pay for some of it, if it would cause them to struggle that much. I love what you're doing for your parents, and I help mine as much as I can too, but it needs to be because she wants to. I would take your sister off the account, and if she wants to contribute, she can do it in a different way. You can't force her to want to help your parents. Yeah, hard disagree. Neza committed to doing this of her own free will, and then not only didn't follow through, but stole money from the account. She's the idiot, and OP is not the idiot. Take her off the account, OP. She doesn't need to be on the account to put money into it. She has the account number. Not the idiot. I usually would call OP an idiot for guilting his sister about the parents paying for her college, but this situation is extreme enough that I think it's reasonable. She insisted on an expensive out-of-state school, that she does not have to work, that her parents take on all the debt, and threatened to go no contact if they didn't, all with parents who could not reasonably afford it. She was already an idiot there. She doesn't have a legal responsibility to pay for them, but she's an idiot. Then she steals money from the account. That makes her an idiot and a thief. My mom and dad are kind of sexist and always treated me better than my sister. I know it's true and she does as well. The only ones in denial are our parents. They think they treat us equally, but they paid for my schooling in full and only 30% of my sister, $60K versus $20K, since they didn't have the money to pay for both of us. Growing up, they wanted me to be a doctor and my sister to be a teacher because they don't want her to be too stressed out with work while taking care of a husband and kids. They never even talked about a family for me until like 3 years ago. I was given a new car at university graduation. My parents didn't even bother to go to my sister's because it was too far away, even though we went to the same university. I was treated better and I acknowledge that, but now the tables have turned. I'm kind of a mess up by my parents' standards. I'm still single with an okay but dead-end job that doesn't pay that well and living with a roommate. However, my sister is now a senior engineer who makes $250,000 a year, has an equally successful husband, and owns a giant acreage. I know it's probably my jealous talking, but I don't want to be clued into too many things that my sister has done because it just makes me depressed. My parents have started completely ignoring me and focusing all their hopes and dreams on my sister. She has become their golden child. I feel bad because my sister has had to put up with this her whole life, but now I get to deal with their constant criticism, and I'm not doing as well as I should and disappointing them. My family had a get-together that I was obligated to attend. There, my aunt and mom were cooing over my sister and how amazing she was and how she was the family's pride. My sister looked so happy that I didn't want to comment. Later, she and I were talking, and she told me about her amazing job and free vacation money her job gave her to help her unwind during the global issue. I said I didn't want to hear about her job and how successful she was. She was so mad that I tried to explain that her parents were crapping on me with her accomplishments, and I couldn't hear it anymore. She looked at me and told me I never tried to stop our parents when they were gushing about me when we were little, even though we did equally well in school and sports. The only thing I had over her was that I was a boy. I feel bad, but after she was dumped on for so many years, she could try to have some sympathy for me. You are the idiot. You have it backward. Now that you know what it feels like to not be the golden child anymore, you should have more empathy for your sister and be glad that she's finally getting the shine and attention she deserves. No one is saying you can't be upset about your own current set of circumstances, but to take it out on her is wrong, and I'm pretty sure you know that. Yes, former golden child, you are the idiot. See, you still seem to think you deserve praise and worship from your parents. Of course, you can't let her have the time to shine because you were fine with the attention when it was directed at you. But now that you see the big shiny ball in the sky isn't there just for you, it stings. No? Your parents are terrible and you're no better. Time to grow up. OOP, you could have stood up for your sister at any point in your life. You chose not to. Now the one time she's getting attention from your parents, you are jealous? Why would she have sympathy for you? She had a rough life being the one ignored in favor of you. 3 months back, my father passed away, leaving his business to me, male 28. My mom is suffering from cancer, and I have 2 young siblings, young teen female and much younger male. They're way too young to take care of my mother, and they too need care. I bought a house back in 2019, and my wife stays separate, but I stay with my mom and ask her to move in as she needs support. Everyone does. She denies and continuously asks for kids. My wife's father passed away last year while leaving inheritance but debts too. Their side doesn't have any son, and they treated me as their own son. So I'm helping them pay off their debts, as well as managing my father's business, saving up for the future, and taking care of my mom and siblings. All the while trying to convince my wife to please give me time. She's bent on having kids and going as far as to say if I can't give her that, maybe she should just move on and find a man. This hurt my sentiments, and I told her she was a self-centered person who loved attention and didn't care for anyone except herself. She even skipped her father's funeral. I told her she could carry on with the divorce, and I didn't care, and I moved out to my parents' home. I find myself blocked on all socials, and she reached out to me one time, apologizing, but still nagging for kids and how she wants us to be a happy family. I explained to her I appreciated her and needed a little more time to cope with everything. As soon as things get better, we will try for kids, and I told her I expected support from her as I am mentally and emotionally drained, but I didn't expect she'd threaten divorce. This time she blocked me from everything and went no contact. We haven't talked for 2 days. It's traumatic, and I just don't know what to do right now. I'm looking for advice. Part of me thinks we are better off without each other, but I think we can make it through. I can't leave my mom and siblings all the while paying for multiple things. Mate, divorce. If she is not here at your lowest, she doesn't deserve to be here at your best. This woman lost her father, but you did too, and your mom has cancer, and you take care of her, your mom, your siblings, and her family's debt. I mean, you are doing your best, and she still is acting like a narcissistic, selfish idiot, and her family's debt is not your problem to solve. Please don't make the mistake of giving her a child. That will screw you in the long term. You're seeing her true colors now. Divorce before it's too late. You're a solid man, and how you're handling your situation is honestly beautiful. Don't let her drag you down. Having a child when you're stressed out, money is an issue, and your marriage is in danger of failing, is the absolute wrong time to have a child. My suggestion is for you to stop paying for her parents' debts. You're allowing everyone to demand your time, leaving no time for yourself. This is a recipe for burnout. Instead, find some time each day to quietly take a break and rest. Good luck. I think your wife is being very selfish and demanding at a time when you need generosity and support. So it's probably time just to give her the divorce she seems to want. My wife and I, 29 male, found out weeks ago that we're having a baby. The reason we waited to announce anything was to make it past our first trimester. Then last week we went to my parents' house and thought it would be a good time. However, we didn't because my brother and his wife announced that they too were expecting. So we decided to wait to another time to say something, let them have their moment. My grandmother, who was also there, didn't give us that chance. She has what I call granny senses because she then points to my wife and says, "You're pregnant too, aren't you?" Not as a question, more of a statement. No idea how, but sometimes she just knows. A few times with cousins, my grandma tells them they're pregnant even before they know. We were caught off guard, and there was no denying it anyway, so we said yes. Congratulations goes around the whole family. My mom's crying. Then out of the corner of my eye, I see my brother fuming. I should add that since we were little kids, my brother was always highly competitive over literally anything. I was too back then. He asks us how far along and then gets mad since his wife is only a few weeks, because that means we'll be the first to have kids out of all our siblings. He accused me of trying to one-up him because I knew they were trying to have a baby. The whole thing felt so ridiculous. My mom was trying to settle him down, but he was in a bad mood. I finally got fed up with his snarky attitude a half hour later. I told him he's so pathetic getting worked up over something stupid instead of being happy that he's going to be a father, or that our kids will be close in age and have someone to play with. Suddenly I was the bad guy and validating his disappointment by calling him names. My brother and his wife just got up and left. He still says we ruined their moment, and on top of that, berated him acting like it's not a big deal. It's a week later, he's still mad about this. Again, because of how I treated him when he's allowed to feel the way he does. I'm not sure if I'm really being the idiot he seems to think I was at that moment. Edit. My grandmother is 97 years old. While she still has all these crazy senses, she's not completely there mentally. Not the idiot. I get that he's mad. They weren't the center of attention as they hoped, and they were looking forward to announcing it. But you didn't announce it. It was your grandma. Lying would have been not an option at this moment. The situation wasn't as you or they expected, but it happened. And it's ridiculous to think that you would have a child to one-up him. Your brother needs to focus on the important things right now. OP's brother is focused on the important thing, at least the ones he thinks are important. Always be the first. Always be better than his brother. Trust me, I know that behavior because my brother is the same. With him, it will always be, I was married first. I was football captain first. I bought a house first, and so on. Everything becomes a milestone/competition he has to reach or accomplish first to exert superiority. Not the idiot. You can't control grandma. She's lived long enough and contributed enough to the family to call it as she sees it. And she saw someone who was pregnant. Being competitive about birth announcements, which should only be met with joy, is ridiculous. Your brother should have congratulated you and your wife instead of acting like a petulant child. I hope for his kid's sake, he does some growing up over the next 9 months.